Good day everyone, I'm Momshi Roxanne and welcome back to my YouTube channel. Today we will be discussing functions and duties of the press. In the previous video, we discussed the scope of journalism, functions of the campus paper, sections and parts of a campus paper, editorial page, sports page, special features, journalism versus literature, tenets of journalism, and killers of balanced reporting. Along with the glory of byline is a great responsibility of a young writer. So the following are the functions and duties of the press. The quality of the newspaper must be reflected in the editorial policy. It is more than just a business because it also reflects and influences the life of the whole academic community. Newspapers must have integrity and readers' confidence. Newspapers may educate, stimulate, assist, or entertain. It is therefore a moral responsibility to balance public interest and the gains. The fundamental quality of the newspaper rests on the quality of the content and the kind of editorial product. It is responsible for the rise of the reader's educational level and resurgence of an articulate, active, young generation. Freedom of the press encompasses responsibility of the newspapers. Freedom of the press and responsibility are inseparable. Responsibility of the press means truth in the news. Truth tempered with mercy, decency, and humility. The press must practice the principles of journalism without bias and self-interest. What are the limitations of the press? David Broder, as cited by Pangilinan in 2012, averred that reports are flawed. Hence, reports are not that complete and may bear mistakes. The limitations of the press may be traced upon the time frame within which an article should be submitted for publication. Remember that journalism secures the freshness of the information. Therefore, when a journalist is in a hurry to beat the deadline, he may not have enough time to reach all the sources of information. This implies that readers or the information-consuming public should judge very critically the articles, the reports, including the photos. Readers should know how to ask questions that are left unanswered in the same manner when journalists dig for facts and additional information. Another limitation of the press is its proneness to be manipulated by the powerful, the elite, and the politicians. Broder in 1987, as cited by Pangilinan in 2012, pointed that every good politician will attempt to work well with the press. If you live in a country where public opinion ultimately decides public policy, any politician who is at all serious is going to try to manage public opinion, and that means working with the press. So they all do it. Now let's discuss the duties and responsibilities of the publication staff. Let's start off with the chief editor. The chief editor supervises the editorial staff of the paper. Usually, he or she writes the editorials of the organ after consultation with the members of the editorial staff. However, any member may write the editorial so long as he or she follows the guidelines in writing. Further, he or she edits all the articles preparatory to submission of the same to the advisor for final editing and approval for publication. He or she likewise supervises the preparation of the layout, dummy of the paper, and its pagination in cooperation with the managing editor and layout artist. He or she also causes the accomplishment of all assignments properly and on time. At times, he or she acts as the liaison officer between the editor, staff, and the advisor, and he or she also calls meetings of the staff. The associate editor edits the articles in cooperation with the chief editor. Also, he or she may be delegated to write editorials of the organ. He prepares assignments of section in consultation with the chief editor. Further, he or she cooperates in the preparation of the layout of the paper and paging of the same with the chief editor and the managing editor. Managing editor. Acting as the hand of the board, the managing editor brings articles to the press for typesetting. As such, he or she also checks articles for typographical errors. He or she prepares the layout of the paper and paging of the same in consultation with the chief editor. Finally, he or she proofreads galley proofs before these are finally approved by the chief editor, then by the advisor for printing. Circulation manager. As the nomenclature suggests, he or she is assigned in ensuring the release and distribution of the paper. He or she also guarantees the smooth flow of the passing of articles from reporters to section editors. He or she is assigned to oversee the flow of the process in crafting the paper. How about the roles of the section editors? News editor. Assigned as the reporter to cover events relevant to the school activities, he or she writes news articles on assignment from the chief editor or through his or her own initiative in consultation with the latter. However, his or her primordial job is to edit all news articles submitted by the writers, preparatory to submission of the same to the chief editor, then to the advisor. Filipino editor. This is an optional staff function or position. Nonetheless, his or her prime job is to write the editorial of the Filipino section. He or she also edits all articles preparatory to submission of the same to the Filipino advisor for final editing and for publication. Sometimes, he also causes the submission of all Filipino articles properly and timely. He or she may likewise act as the liaison officer between the Filipino staff and the chief editor. Feature editor. The feature editor gives out assignments to feature writers. He or she then receives and edits feature articles preparatory to the submission of the same to the chief editor. Sometimes he or she writes regular articles or column. Layout section editors. They are assigned to cause the assignment of the school's official photographer to take pictures on school's activities for the month or for a specified time. Layout artists. They take charge of designing and formatting of all pages in the paper. As such, they label or properly identify all pictures made available for publication. And now the reporters. The life of the contents depends on the skills of the reporters. Yes, that's true. They secure the cold and raw facts of an assigned event and write articles out of the same. Moreover, they receive assignments from the section editors or board of editors and then accomplish the same properly and timely. That covers the functions and duties of the press. I hope you learned something today. Thank you.